Hello guys, welcome to another day of the Global Littlewargame League of the 2024 season. We're still in the group stages. Here's what they look like. And once again, I do want to remind you that the map pool is what it is. It is the ranked map pool with the addition of Thieves' Isle. And today we're going to be going over Group D. Group D is filled with some illustrious players. Let's meet them. First off, we've got avocadolord. Avocadolord has been tearing up the ladder, been around for quite a while, but only has played in one event. So he did play in Pro League Season 4 on my team. He did okay there, not amazing, but had some good wins. Did lose 1-2 versus Slammer4, did win 2-1 versus Matthew N, and also 2-1 versus mderg. And Slammer and mderg are both in this group, so perhaps a little bit of revenge or some storylines there potentially, so something to be aware of. Next we have Slammer4, also a very strong player, been around the Little War Game community for basically forever. All these recent events, you can take a look, but yeah, he's been back, he's been playing a few games, but yeah, we'll see how he does in this group. Next we have mderg. mderg is a player who also has been around for quite a while. Has played in some of the tournaments as well. Not the best results, but he's definitely a solid player. Mostly plays a bit of racks into mech sort of thing, and we'll see how he does in this group. And rounding off this group is going to be Python. Python is a, he played quite a while. I want to say in like 2017-ish. He's back again, played in the Paradise series, teamed up with Bisherm, and took a 3-2 win versus HJ and El Barto. So very well done. Yeah. And here are the initial matchups for Group D. So it's going to be Python versus avocadolord for the first initial match, and Slammer versus mderg in the other initial match. Yeah, so Python versus avocadolord. So perhaps some beast versus beast. We'll have to see. We'll have to find out. Let's hop straight into it. All right. We're on Xenos, and spawning in the bottom left-hand side of the map, it's going to be avocadolord. Self-proclaimed wolf snake A-mover expert. So perhaps we'll see that out of avocadolord. But he has been mixing up the Raider expand, mostly because he thinks it's just a better opening in the early game. On the other side of the map, it's going to be everyone's favorite or least favorite programming language, the Cobra, the snake. It's Python. All right, so Python going to go for a little bit of a quicker house here. Also not building an additional worker. Okay, that's a little bit late. He was floating up to like 60, 65 gold when that happened. And also sending this across the map. So this leads me to believe that Python might be going for something a little bit cheeky. Perhaps some sort of proxy 2den or proxy racks or something like that. We'll see what he has cooked up in store. I do want to say that these two players, I kind of feel like they're very like standard-ish players. They don't really, or at least in my mind, I haven't seen all the games, but in my mind they're pretty standard. They just want to play some beast style, wolf snake into dragons or whatever, and they just kind of try to win from there in the mid game, in the late game, that sort of thing. But yeah, in this case, we have avocadolord with the standard Rax timing, Python going to proxy a Rax of his own. But this is also very weird timing because you cut a worker to go for that earlier house, but then you continue to build workers. Oh, okay, I see. It's going to be a spicy one. But you continue to cut workers in lieu of getting your Rax a little bit later. So if you notice, this Rax is actually delayed compared to the standard Rax timing of avocadolord, even though Python did go for that earlier house, so maybe he could have not decided to go for this earlier house if he was going to put this down at this timing. I don't know. But we do have a 1den and a 1 rack, so this is generally, something that isn't found in the meta very well or very often. I've seen this happen where you go for wolves and soldiers and you just go for like a huge melee attack, something like that. You can also go for raiders. You can also go for archers with that wolf front line. There's a lot of different options. We'll see what he goes for. Decide to go for a raider, but as you can see, this raider is significantly delayed compared to the raider timing of avocadolord. So there might be a big opportunity potentially. Another thing is that this raider won't actually be able to see this raider. So maybe Python wants to hide his raiders and then just pretend like, oh, I'm just doing a one den sort of thing. But we'll see how this plays out. Avocadolord gearing up to take a natural base. I think this is barely out of range, or maybe it'll be barely in range. Okay, he's going to take it up here. Yeah, it wouldn't have been in range, so that is a little bit of a poor wall here for avocadolord. This raider is going to get that first shot onto that wolf. Going to do a little bit of damage, a little bit of poking, and obviously this is a fight that Python does not want to take. He's going to flash up, get that extra hit. He has another flash ready, but that might barely be out of time. We have the first raider for Python trying to do a little bit of damage. That wolf falls on this side of the map. This worker falls, but if you're going for this sort of cheese, you don't really want to be, consider all these worker kills. Essentially, you want to do damage to the actual units, or else the worker kills don't really matter. You just need a snowball. But yeah, so this is so far with the raider control out of avocadolord. I think it's looking pretty good. Yes, it is a little bit dangerous. Oh, nice flash over there, getting that one raider. This wolf is about to fall, and indeed it does. However, there's a raider coming from the backside. That's a flash that doesn't get anything, so that's not a very good value there. Losing 2 shots for 1 there is not good for Python, and Python is not looking very good in this match. You have that third raider coming in for avocadolord at the same time. So far, we've lost 1 raider and 2 wolves for just 1 worker, and that's obviously not a good idea. Avocado does have a flash, doesn't even need it, is going to get that additional raider at the same time, and right now with the natural base and also a 3 raider advantage, this looks like it's going to be a lights out game for avocadolord. Python perhaps not doing what he needed to do. I think he might have. I think it might have been a little bit easier if he had just queued up, pulled up his raiders and then went for it later on. But just streaming them in one by one, attacking that worker, and just losing that raider fight is absolutely huge. Here comes another raider that is spawning. That's a flash, but it does get a raider. That's okay. That's a start for sure. Python also floating almost 400 gold. GG is called, and that means avocadolord with a very crisp, very clean hold is going to take the initial match versus Python. So very well played from avocadolord here. Yeah. So here is the groups. So far, we have avocadolord heading to the winner's match, whereas Python dropping that game, gonna have to play the loser versus Slammer and mderg. So coming into that next match, it's going to be SlammerIV versus mderg, and this is definitely something that SlammerIV would be definitely very favored in, I'd say. I don't have the pick bands, unfortunately, for this one either, but the map is going to be on Xenos again. All right, let's head right into it. Spawning in the bottom left-hand side of the map, it's SlammerIV, the 4th iteration of the Slammers. Or maybe the 4th of the Descendant line or Bloodline or whatever. Spawning in the top right-hand side, it's mderg. It's like, not quite Milady, but mderg. What is a derg anyways? I don't know. Anyways, we're heading into this match. I would say that Slammer is definitely favored. Very favored, in fact. mderg is a solid player, but I feel like he's not quite at the top level of Little Wargame as SlammerIV would be. And but it is a best of 1, so perhaps some sort of cheeky play might be on the menu. Yeah, Slammer, I'd say, is very flexible. He does prefer to play the beast style, though, I would say. But he can play Rax, he can play mech. There was a time when he was playing basically only mech as well, way back in maybe 2016, 2017, something like that. Maybe even 2018, I don't know. Time is Time is not, it's very fickle. Anyways, mderg going for a Rax opening so far, and looks like Slammer is scouting around just to make sure that he isn't being cheesed. Going for a 1 den. Oh, make that a 2 den, looks like. That's a little bit early of a pull, but that's okay. Yeah, so we have 2 den versus 1 Rax. And generally with good Raider micro, this is going to be a hold for the Raider player, generally. It's not going to like guaranteed or anything, but that's the sort of that's generally if you have good control, that's what happens. Slammer4 obviously thinking that, oh, I'm the better player, I'm just going to scout around and make sure nothing crazy is going on, and if nothing is crazy going on, I should probably win, is I guess the mindset that Slammer has. Did check all the way to the bottom, top left here, into this nook and cranny. Didn't scout this side though, so I'd assume that that's where his wolf is going to go, and yep, that's where the wolf is rallied. mderg also doing a little bit of scouting around his base. I don't mind that. But perhaps maybe cutting some corners might be a good idea against someone who you think is a better player. It's, you know, try to find advantages wherever you can. There's that wolf scouting around, checking all the corners, crossing his T's, dotting his I's, that sort of thing. Okay, so we do have that house on the way. Cool. This worker finds nothing. The worker of Slammer4 also finds nothing. And the wolves are also going to find more or less nothing. And mderg is gearing up to take a castle at the standard timing. Slammer4 just continuing to pump out wolves. A little bit supply block because he went for the 2 additional workers instead. But that's okay. That's also a conscious decision that you can make. The natural expansion for mderg coming up. And we've got the wolves going to slowly stream in one by one, starting with this. Do note that this is actually very slow compared to the regular timing because he spent some time scouting around. And I believe that was the 2nd or 3rd wolf that came. This raider going to pick off a wolf for free, it looks like. Nope, he's going to turn back and try to defend. Slammer going to try to target down that worker. Might be able to get it, but you do need to save that wolf. Decides not to chase, so that is a interesting idea. This wolf is very low. That could potentially go down if he double flashes. I'd say that would be worth it, but decides not to and just turns around and tries to play a little bit defensively. Cool. Slammer4 looks like he is going to be supply blocked here. At 29 out of 30, no house on the way. So that is definitely, I would say, a mistake. Or he's just going to go for a castle. Yeah, okay. He is going to go for a castle. So these are all the wolves that he's going to get at the moment. A little bit of micro, good pullback micro out of Slammer4. But mderg, ooh, very good. Don't want to be surrounded there. Slammer4 going to chase up onto the high ground, try to do a little bit more damage. Does lose a wolf for that, though. As generally, you want to try not to split your damage. You want to try to target down one raider. There, okay, good pullback out of mderg, also pulling the workers. And with 3 raiders, I think this is going to be a hold. So far, just a single wolf going down. Make that a 2nd as I say that. And it needs to, continue building that castle there. But this is a pretty, good hold, solid hold out of mderg, and he comes away out of the early game with a slight advantage. But with this castle being a little bit delayed. But if you're Slammer, as long as you get into a longer game, you're a little bit favored. So I think Slammer is all right with that as well. These wolves going to try to get us around onto these raiders. Good pullback over here. Good flash away out of mderg. This wolf is going to come in to get that scout. Actually he's going to turn around. Okay, never mind. He's going to go back in, try to get that scout. This scout is... it's a little early, but getting the scout is always good. So going to see that Rax might even want to try to target down that weak worker. It's just 2 shots away, but instead going to try to target down this. A single raider is being pulled, and that wolf is going to go down eventually. A little slight mistake out of Slammer. I feel like he could have potentially gotten that worker. Slammer coming in with these wolves does lose a few of them carelessly, it looks like, because he is going to be trapped. So good worker micro out of mderg. And Slammer wants that one. Okay, there we go. But I think, good flash away, or good flash forward to get another wolf. And I think that's a very, sloppy, needless mistake out of Slammer. He kind of tried to commit to try to do a little bit of damage, which is obviously good. But just losing 7 wolves for 2 workers is not the best trade. At the same time, we have mderg going for a fortress. So this is his ace in the hole, perhaps. Slammer did scout this second Rax, so he will be aware of that, and accordingly builds a snake charmer to deal with those additional Rax units. So not a bad choice. But will he be aware of this fortress? Will he be available to defend against this? The only time will tell. But so far, no scouting information. Slammer just thinks it's a 2 Rax. So from that perspective, everything that he's doing is making sense. mderg is floating quite a bit of money. Okay, he's going to spend that on the Raiders. I was thinking maybe he's going to look to get a third base at the same time. And that would be, a little bit greedy, going for a fortress, 2 Rax, and also a third base. But yeah, it's just something that could have happened. mderg sending out this scouting Raider to check to see if there's a third base. And Slammer is looking to take one at this side over here. This wolf and this Raider just crossing lines, crossing paths in the middle of the map. Slammer also, has some wolves here, probably going to check this third base or attempt to go for a double scout or another scout into the main base here. These units are this is pretty risky as a Rax player because you don't know where, it's okay to do it with your Raiders, but with the Archers, it's pretty risky to be out on the map when you don't know exactly what your opponent's up to. But ends up working out, and mderg doesn't lose any Archers for that. We have the first Dragon's Lair coming up, perhaps? There we go. There's that first Dragon's Lair. Slammer is seeing, I guess, the number of units here. That does look like 2 Rax worth of units. Is seeing that there's no third base. And I believe he thinks that it's going to be some sort of a 2 base push. And I don't think he knows about this Dragon's Lair just yet. A little bit of mistake over here pulling this worker back. I think that's what's going on? Hello? This is definitely a bit of a mistake out of Slammer here. Okay, yeah, he really thinks that it's a 2 base committed push, which is why he's adding the additional wolves then. Not finishing this castle is a pretty big mistake. Definitely feels bad if you see that. These wolves are going to possibly get a glimpse. Yep, is going to see a glimpse of this Rax army coming. And that means that Slammer will be aware of where the attack is coming from. Good flash forward out of mderg here to try to chase down these wolves. Slammer is bringing them back to slow down the push a little bit. Is going to lose all of these wolves for free, though. And the trades have been really good. Looks like mderg might be taking a third base at the same time. That castle does finally finish, and Slammer is going to put down a tower, which is a good idea. But there so far is no scouting for this Dragon's Lair. I think this could potentially just straight up surprise Slammer. And the only anti-here he has, a couple of towers that are immobile, and a few snakes. And snakes obviously are not that good against flying units. With that minus 2.5 against flying is a big issue. And the thing with this push is that if you're able to target down some of these snakes, that means there's even less anti-air for the upcoming dragons. So good flash away over there out of mderg. Gonna keep all those raiders alive. I think this probably could be better placed here to protect the watchtower a little bit better. This wolf does see that worker tries to target it down, but is 1 hit away. And that's a quote-unquote fake third base. I do like... Okay, maybe not. He's just going to exchange his worker for a healthier one so that it doesn't get sniped off. Slammer is playing, pretty well, but mderg is also playing extremely well. I do like his decision-making to say, hey, I think you have a little bit too much. I'm just going to go home and take a third base. But because he does have this dragon thing coming, right? So that's something that... perhaps Slammer doesn't know, and if you do something like overextend with your Rax units, and you might just be forced to defend the counterattack with those dragons, and that's something you don't want to do. Slammer going for a animal testing lab for those upgrades, which are very important, and here's that first sight of the dragons. 3 dragons are going to rear their big flying ugly heads, and that should mean, yep, there we go, instant advanced workshop coming up out of Slammer. He has a tower in the natural and the main, but not in the, natural and the third, but not in the main. Is gonna get that right now, but these dragons need to be going across the map to actually do some damage. These raiders could have actually fought those snakes, I think. Slammer is deciding, hey, I don't have anything to deal with these dragons. I need to do some sort of counterattack right now, but this is a little bit disjointed. This portion of the army came in a little bit too quickly, which means that mderg had a really good fight in the initial stages of the fight. However, mderg is not doing the best micro with these archers. They are getting a little bit surrounded, but with the dragons coming in, I think that he will be able to clean this up more or less for free. And but as Slammer here, you're okay with this because this is just buying time for you to actually get your defenses for the dragons. Another advanced workshop coming up on the way. And yeah, this fight obviously wasn't the best for Slammer. He came in a little bit disjointed with that top army coming in a little bit too quickly. But this also bought a little bit of time, right? So there are no... that means that these dragons weren't on this side of the map killing workers. So trading out a little bit of army to buy a little bit of time is something that you do want to do. But at the same time, we have a very significant counterattack. And with only, what is this, 7 snakes, these 5 dragons are going to be really hard to defend. Also, I do want to note that mderg specifically waited until he had a significant number of dragons before moving out. If he had shown one of them, then and just gone across the map with the first one, that would have meant that Slammer had, wasn't on that sort of timer because it's just less of a threat because there's less dragons. But by saving them up, does mean that when the threat hits, it's a much bigger threat at that moment. These dragons are going to try to target down what they can. Looks like they're trying to target down snakes. Slammer forced to pull all these workers to defend his natural base against this ground army. He's going to be able to do so. Good pull away out of mderg for that dragon here. So far, losing only a single dragon, and I think that was to the tower. But the first ballista is out. This is very dire for Slammer, though. Like, these fights have not been ideal, for sure. That dragon barely might survive 0 HP, but obviously there are floating point numbers involved, and that is going to survive. And looks like Slammer will be able to hold on. Did lose a handful of workers, did lose 7 workers and a whole bunch of wolf snake, make that 8, but he's still in a relatively playable position. Still an equal number, more or less, of workers, and he does have that infrastructure. He does have... Oh, he canceled the upgrades. I guess that makes sense once he scouted the dragons. But that also gave a lot of space for mderg on the other side of the map to get that 4th base and to completely set up his 3rd base correctly. This is, maybe he could have did like a... Nah, I don't mind this, actually. That's a pretty good wall here. I was thinking maybe you want to put another house up here just to block that front side, but perhaps it's actually better just to have that one funnel point, choke point. But they're going to transition into mages at the same time. I do like this. And also I do like that mderg isn't continually building dragons, because I feel like if you overmake dragons, you kind of open up the potential to just lose the game because of some good ballista micro, some good ballista shots. So I think that's a very good idea to not build too many dragons here. And it is basically going to look to play a very standard game from here. I love this building placement out of mderg as well. Very nice. Some good SimCity. I'm a really big fan of that, especially because this sort of SimCity is something that it's not like micro-dependent. You don't have to be like fast at the game to be good at. It's something you just think about and you're like, oh, I can do this, I can do that, and it's basically free advantages. Slammer going to take his 4th base here, but that is going to be way later than mderg here. But at the same time, I do think that Slammer, he's still in a position to win this game, right? He does have perhaps a few too many snakes, and some fireballs would absolutely decimate that army. But he still has, a sizable army. He has a sizable economy. Maybe it's not as good. And perhaps he'll be in a good position if it's a little bit more active with his units. He's being very passive with his wolf snake army, perhaps because you don't want to deal with those dragons. But that also means that he's not getting that scouting information. He doesn't see this 4th base coming up. Now he's going to take a look, but that's going to be a little bit too late. It's already well established with 2 towers in there. I do like this placement over here. And looks like that is going to trigger Slammer to attack. No? Okay. It's actually just going to play a little bit more passively. Okay. So the longer this game goes on, if Slammer doesn't do the damage that he wants to do in the mid game, because mderg is going for that tech, it gets much better for the Rax player. You are like generally like a maxed Rax army will beat a maxed Beast army, right? That's kind of the way the numbers work, right? The interactions work. So you do want to fight before then, and I do like this idea over here, just coming in to attack this base, but with 2 towers and, you know, very well good SimCity here, along with these mages, I feel like this might be not the fight that Slammer is looking for. Yeah, I think he's just going to have to go back and transition. He's going to transition into dragons of his own. Did get that fortress, is going to go for a few upgrades perhaps. Did not start his upgrades though. That is a mistake. He's going to start them as I say that. So, and additional dens coming in as well. I like that Slammer is opening up these destructible rocks, except they're not rocks, they're forges, to look for more additional attack opportunities and lines. This is looking... Okay, you have to be very careful as Slammer here, because fireballs will absolutely decimate this army. There we go, some huge damage over here, and there's so many more fireballs. I want to say that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish fireballs still left, with like 1, 2, 3 more coming on the way. And this is a very scary army to fight if you're playing pure Wolf Snake. Slammer needs to transition into something else. You can't play Wolf Snake against this number of mages. And yeah, this is looking actually very good for mderg. These dragons coming in from the top side as well. I feel like mderg could have done a little bit more like harassment, a little bit more map control with them. These snakes stuck on each other. This is the AI, because there's just a one hole over here. Gonna lose 3 snakes for free, which is not good. But this is a pretty scary Rax army, not because of the size of it, but because of the sophistication with these fireballs. Those 2 fireballs are going to take down 2 snakes, which is okay, but perhaps it could have done a little bit more, especially if it's paired with that slow field. And these are also some juicy workers that potentially could go down. These dragons on the top side are being chased away by the ballista. But this is a pretty good surround out of Slammer. This is pretty well set up. When is he going to pull the trigger? That is the question, though. It looks like we're going to be waiting a little bit too much. That airship falls, which is actually pretty big. That does mean that these ballistas don't have that mobility. Looks like Slammer is going to pull the trigger right now. This is before any of the reinforcements of mderg come. They're a little bit disjointed, so this might be the best opportunity that Slammer has. But good slow field here, along with some good fireballs. This portion of the Beast army wasn't quite in range at the same time. And more fireballs coming in, absolutely melting these snakes. And this is looking more and more like a mderg victory, which is something that I didn't expect. I don't think any of you expected either. We have just continual Rax production coming in. We have some snakes still alive, but those snakes are not doing... they're just not what Slammer needs. Slammer does have some dragons potentially on the way in the future, but I feel like with already some dragons out of mderg, that's going to be very, very difficult for Slammer to come back in this game. mderg also taking a 5th base at the same time. Very nice. Very clean. It was floating a bit of money. I would have liked to see perhaps maybe some forges come down for a little bit of upgrades. But mderg says, nope, I'm just going to try to kill you right now. Right here and right now. And I think it's working. Slammer going to go scout to do his due diligence, but I don't think that's exactly what he needs right now. Going to take a 5th base at the same time, or attempt to at least. But this Rax army on the front is very, very scary. There's just not enough beast units to deal with this. Yes, the fireballs are starting to run out, but we do have a few still left. And if these mages just continue to survive, they'll regenerate that mana eventually. And yeah, this is looking very, very good for mderg. This scary Rax army coming straight in. There's definitely a huge fireball potential over here, but mderg is perhaps wisely saving that for all of the actual units. We do have those forges finishing up for mderg with that +1/+1 upgrade. Slammer forced to pull some workers into this, but those are going to get absolutely melted by the fireball. Burnt to crisp in a fiery death. And this looks like it's going to be our first big upset. mderg absolutely smashing this game with a very nice hold with the 2 den early on. and the surprise dragons that Slammer was a little bit ill-prepared for, and then just closing it out with that nice mage transition. And I think this just might be it. Slammer forced to pull all of his workers from the natural base into this. Is going to try to target down what he can with these dragons, try to target down all those weak mages, but I think this is just a little bit too little too late. Yeah, I think Slammer's dead. Slammer's just straight up dead. mderg also being very conservative with these dragons has kept them alive for essentially the entire game. He's going to lose a few of them right now. 2 shots to that splash damage, but yeah, I think this is just it. There's just nothing that Slammer can do. He's going to lose these dragons, and with that, I think the hope as well. I guess potentially if he survives and he does get to a critical number of dragons without any anti-air on the other side of the map, that might be it. But yeah, just mderg has too much money. He's floating 1.2k, has towers in every single base as well, which is very nice, just in case. And yeah, this is just some solid Rax play out of mderg. I feel like Slammer just kind of didn't respect his opponent enough. Like in the early game, going for that 2-den, that's sort of a thing that you do against a weaker opponent, right? And then after scouting the 2 Rax, you didn't scout again. Wasn't able to see the dragons. He's gonna target down the advanced workshop by mistake, so definitely a mistake there out of Slammer. And this parade push just continues. The +1/+1 upgrades for these Rax units are done at the same time, which means that they do get a significant boost, whereas yeah, there's just not enough here for Slammer. Yeah, this is just it. This is just very nice play out of mderg. Slammer obviously doesn't want to concede just yet, as it is a best-of-1, and that would be basically you know, a huge elimination here. Does target down a dragon, very nice. Gonna target down the next dragon as well. Good whole position out of Slammer here, though, trying to defend these watchtowers, but yeah. I think it's just snowballing a little bit too far out of control. Slammer, good target fire on that mage, by the way. I guess one thing to note is that, okay, we have more mages. I was just going to say that all the mages have more or less gone down. And if that is the case, then I guess a big wolf surround might potentially be able to do it. I like that mderg isn't also just straight up going for the kill, right? Like, he's in an excellent position. Sometimes players will be like, oh, I have this great position against this player. I need to, like, absolutely win it right now, and overextends a little bit. Ooh, this is also pretty big. Slammer with a bit of what's it called? Bad building placement. Gonna be trapped, these 2 wolves. Now aware of it, he's gonna try to target that down. But yeah, this is some very good patient play out of mderg. Yeah, instead of trying to overextend and potentially get big surround. No, he did push into the main base, or the natural here, for quite a bit, but it wasn't like too egregious. He knew when to back out when he had to. mderg also at the same time took another base, make that his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th base. And with the replenishment of these mages, I think there's really nothing that Slammer can do. I guess the only chance he had was when those mages were all down, except for that 1 mage. Maybe if he had taken an excellent fight at that point, then maybe it would have been salvageable. But yeah, I think there's just too much here for mderg. So fireballs perhaps coming down? No, just gonna stand and fight. There are the fireballs. Gonna absolutely decimate all those workers, and I think that just might be it. mderg also has that ballista that he was lacking the first time he did this, so these dragons won't be the cure-all Hail Mary answer. And GG is called. Slammer, unfortunately, gonna be taken down, and an excellent play out of mderg. This was just very, very solid, very textbook play. Other than that Dragon's transition, which is a little bit spicy, but he held his ground where he needed to, held that 2-den very well, and just took the game and ran from there. So very well played. We'll take a look at what the group is looking like. So we have avocadolord versus mderg in the winner's match, and in the loser's match, it's going to be Python versus Slammer for So an excellent upset victory by mderg, sending Slammer to the losers. And we'll head into the winners match right now. It's going to be avocadolord versus mderg. We'll see if mderg's magic can continue and if he can take one off of avocadolord. Once again, I do not have the picks bands, unfortunately. But this game was played on Ravaged. Let's hop straight into it. All right. Spawning in the top left-hand side, it's avocadolord. Avocado is really good. It's really healthy, too. I like guacamole, personally, with, like, nachos. Very nice. In the bottom left-hand side, sorry, bottom right-hand side of Ravaged, in the blue, it's mderg. I don't know if he prefers mderg or mderg or whatever else. Also, if I mispronounce your name or anything like that, please let me know. I will do my best to rectify it. I think one of the most egregious ones was that everyone was calling Rhinus. I think he did say that it's actually pronounced Renus, but by then it already had stuck that everyone was calling him Rhinus. I think actually AZ was one of the players who just continues to call him Renus, and when I first heard it, I was like, no way, right? Everyone calls him Rhinus, and it's also because English spelling and all that, right? But it is apparently just Renus, and it's I don't know. In my head, it's always been Rhinus. So we have a house and a house. Looks like we're gonna play a little bit of Rax. Yep, okay. Rax versus. Ooh, gonna skip that first building. Looks like he's gonna go for a castle first, if I had to guess, along with a scout. This is okay. Interesting. So this is not something that I expect from mderg. I feel like mderg is more of a Rax player, and generally, if you want to go for castle first, that's generally just a beast player's kind of mojo, right? Is going to scatter around because he's the best of one, doesn't want to get blindsided by anything, but that does mean he's going to be a little bit behind in that economy, and it's really tough if you're going for a castle first to deal with those raiders in the early game. It's not easy for sure, but perhaps we'll see if mderg is up to that task. We have that castle gonna be put down, so a castle first indeed out of mderg. There we go. And we have that first raider being produced out of avocadolord. Very nice. All right, we'll see how this pans out. If you do play this castle first against a raider expand, you do need to be very careful with your wolves and your workers. You need to play very passive. And you want to like have your workers here. You want to have your wolf behind your worker bit generally. And then when the raider comes in, you want to take your workers and try to get a surround by doing like right-clicking on this gold mine. Try to get a surround on those raiders. Force them to use their flash. Force them to take more damage than it's worth. That's generally how you want to play it. But yeah, we have that first raider coming across the map. We'll see how much damage that this is able to do. Generally, if you get two workers, you're even on workers. If you get one or less, you're behind as a Rax player. If you get more than two, you're ahead. Is generally what the consensus is with this build. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. Castle does finish. And here we go. Basically, we're going to see how good mderg's anti-raider micro is going to be. So far, not bad. Good pullback out of mderg here. Did forget to pull that one back. You do really need to try to get those surrounds. You don't want to be just A-moving. You need to try to right-click onto that gold mine. Good flashing out of avocado. We're going to get a raider. That first wolf does spawn, and that is going to force the raider back to flash across the map. Or not across the map, across the gap in this case. And here comes that second raider, though. We'll see if mderg is able to get a surround on this raider before it... that was possibly an opportunity. Before that mana does regenerate. Okay, yeah. So I'm noticing that mderg is, instead of trying to go for that surround by right-clicking, he's kind of just A-moving his workers, which is something that you generally try not to do. Good pullback of that weakened worker to the main base, but avocadolord, ooh, does miss that flash. Wanted to get that raider, that worker, and then flash out, but unfortunately unable to do so. Going to try to target down that one. Yep, okay, very well done. So far, 2 workers have gone down, which means that this should be even. Looks like mderg did lose a few workers or production cycles, though, so he is going to be behind. Avocadolord transitioning into a fortress off of this, so we're going to look to do some dragon shenanigans in this game. We'll see how that pays off. One thing to note is that mderg kept all of his wolves pretty healthy, so that is very nice for mderg. 3 of these raiders do show up, which means that they can one-shot workers if they do get a hit on them. Ooh, does want to pull that back, add that to the control loop. There we go. Here's a little bit of a misstep, I think. Unfortunately, mderg not quite able to capitalize on it as much as he'd like because of that flash away. Is going to pull that worker all the way back into his main base as he should. And I think you can just, yeah, okay, you do really want to be careful. I think mderg just doesn't have enough experience with this sort of defense. It's definitely not easy to do, for sure, but I feel like he maybe doesn't know about the right click onto this, perhaps. We have a wolf's den being upgraded into a werewolf's den, so that's going to be the plan for mderg here. But he's lost so many workers so far. I want to say 3. Okay, yeah, 3 is actually not that bad, but he also has been behind a little bit on that worker production. The pull back on these weak wolves as well. Yeah, so it's going to be werewolves versus dragons, essentially. And in this case, generally, you would say that the dragons have that advantage because the werewolves can't really go across the map, especially if you're being hemmed in like this, unless you go for that, like, advanced workshop and drop them or something like that. But in this case, he's kind of, I don't think he's going to be looking to do that at the moment. So these dragons are probably more likely to go for bigger damage. Actually, mderg, as I say that, going to go for that advanced workshop. That looked like a flash to try to get a scout, but unfortunately, avocadolord missing that flash. Not ideal. And another thing about this being upgraded into a werewolf's den is that you're missing that production for the wolves. So you have less wolves being produced, which obviously is not a good thing. It makes it a lot harder to defend these raiders here. Avocadolord is transitioning, did not go for another additional raiders after those first 5. So these are all the raiders he's going to make, it seems like. And yeah, is just going to go take that 3rd base along with these 2 dragons layers. So avocadolord in a pretty good position. And it's basically going to come up to, hey, can this werewolf do anything? What can it do? Can it bring mderg back into this game? Or is it kind of over, is the question. Here comes the raiders coming in for another fight. Does take down a wolf for free. And is going to escape. Maybe even get a 2nd wolf, yeah. Okay, good pullback out of mderg. Is going to try to flash in, but the wolves are ready. That is a very nice anticipation out of mderg. I would have preferred that he just stood his ground there and just prevented the scout, because this means that avocadolord has seen everything that he needed. He's seen the werewolves den, he's seen the advanced workshop, and he knows what's coming. mderg kind of a little bit of over micro there, tried to save that wolf, but instead I think just keeping that there would have been a better idea, just to deny that scouting. But we do have this werewolf. We do have, it looks like nothing in particular out of avocadolord after seeing that. He's just saying, I have dragons, and you know what can't shoot up? Werewolves can't shoot up. And I guess he's expecting avocadolord to go for this airship as well. So potentially worst case scenario for mderg is that he goes across the map with a werewolf in a airship and then just loses it straight up. That is worst case scenario against if he loses it to the dragons or something like that. The flashes are burned, which means that these wolves can kind of chase. I think these were trying to target down that specific raider so that they were a little bit on move command, but that's still okay. We have those first 2 dragons coming into the main base of mderg in very, very soon. mderg looks like he's waiting for that 2nd werewolf at the same time. I like that avocadolord is keeping his the additional dragons on his side of the map, and now mderg is going to see this. These dragons targeting down the weakened workers from earlier, the ones that the raiders got 2 shots on, and he has no anti-air. The ballista is started, but so far doesn't look like he has much. mderg is going to be forced into an all-in and try to go for a killing blow, but he just doesn't have any anti-air. those dragons that are spawning right now are gonna eventually clean up everything. Good stop position with these workers, but I don't think that's gonna be, it's buying time, but it's not gonna be a great buying time because you're not mining while this is going on. We have the wolves coming in, try to do that counter damage, but these dragons, they have no answer on this side of the map. Werewolf's going to smash. That's a pretty big smash. Going to get a whole bunch of raiders as well as some worker damage at the same time. This ballista is going to hold the fort on the backside, but that means there's nothing over here for anti-air. So that means this airship is going to basically be toast. Yeah, good target fire by avocadolord going for this. I would have liked to see maybe even just walling off this ramp here with like a workshop or something. That might have been a great idea. These workers are in hold position or stop position, and that means they're not mining, which is not good. A little bit of crisis management here. mderg coming in, trying to smash all these workers, and he indeed does that. Perhaps if he gets all these workers, then perhaps we're still in a game, but eventually these dragons will be able to target down all of the units here. And like I was saying, that just blocking that top ramp would have been absolutely amazing for avocadolord. Big smash there, very big smash, does damage a whole bunch of these workers. And with this werewolf coming in from the backside as well, potentially this might be the beginning of the end, but that werewolf does fall to all these dragons. Avocadolord have an insane number of dragons. That has 9 dragons, and those are going to absolutely melt these werewolves. I thought he was going to use that for a hold position, but yeah, the werewolf is down. The werewolves are down. Avocadolord is still on 3 bases, still has more workers. So, yeah, Avocadolord is in an excellent position. Unfortunately, mderg unable to do the damage that he would have liked with his werewolf drop, and he's going to have to play from behind. Look at the supply here. Avocadolord with 63 supply, mderg at only 25, and mderg is going to go and create another advanced workshop to try to go for additional anti-air. But with these 9 dragons, I feel like you could just straight up kill, just target down this ballista, especially if there's no repair. Yeah, he's going to see that and going to try to target it down. The worker pull is fast, but is it fast enough? I don't think so. I think that ballista is going to be sniped. There we go. That means there's no anti-air, and that means these dragons have free reign. You're going to target down the tower. You're going to target the workers. Anything is free game here. I'm going to target down all the workers one by one. Going to pull back the weak dragon at the same time. And I think that's going to be it. GG is called. mderg taps out. And that does mean that in Group D, we have avocadolord winning in the winners match. Going to head to the Alpha League. Very nice play. Is going to be facing Bisherm in the quarterfinals. So that's bound to be an exciting matchup. Especially because actually Bisherm was saying, with the Raiders, it's actually hard to play against the 2-den. Maybe avocadolord looks at that and says, all right, challenge accepted. I'm going to play a 2-den against you. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But moving on, we're going to head to the losers match between Python and SlammerIV. But actually, unfortunately, Slammer has been busy in the past week. Was not able to schedule a time, so by default Python is going to win, which means that this is what the current situation is. SlammerIV being 4th place, I guess, didn't actually play the losers match, but losing to mderg and unfortunately not showing up to the losers match, which means SlammerIV is going to be eliminated from the Alpha League chances. Has to play in the Beta League. Is going to play against Nigat. Ooh, I copied it over from the wrong place, so it flew into the top. That's pretty interesting. I kind of want to see that again. Okay, obviously that shouldn't have happened, but cool little animation detail. This is Canva, by the way, for those of you who are like, oh, what program are you using to do this? It's Canva. It's free. It's online, and it's pretty good. There are some things like you can't actually, unlike PowerPoint or Google Slides, you can't actually time your animations at the moment, so you can't do click to animate your objects or your elements, but it has still some really good stuff, especially for a browser-based product. Anyways, we're gonna head to the final match. That's gonna be Python and mderg, and I do have the map selections for you for this one, so that is excellent. First one in this group, I believe. Python, with the first ban, is going to ban Thieves' Isle. mderg bans Sylvan Charm, Cursed Temple, Silent Fjord, Xenos, Ice Cold LE, and so we're playing on Ravaged. All right, let's hop into it on Ravaged for the final match for Group D. In the top left-hand side of the map, it's going to be mderg, with an excellent upset victory over SlammerIV. Unfortunately, he was not able to take down avocadolord, but we'll see if he's able to take down his opponent in the bottom right-hand side. It's Python. All right. We'll see how this goes. I think that build that mderg did against avocadolord definitely had potential. It's not an easy build to be aware of if you don't get the scout. Unfortunately, you did get the scout, and the build matchup wasn't the greatest because the dragons were already on the way. But yeah, we do have a interesting matchup between Python and mderg on Ravaged. We'll see how this goes. Do want to say, as a heads up, this is going to be, once again, a two-part match, similar to the match in Group C, I want to say? Yeah, Group C, where the server crashed. In this case, it wasn't the server crashing, so yay, little war game. But unfortunately, I believe Python crashed in the middle of this game, so we're going to have a regame for this. But in terms, for the sake of just, openness, we're going to show you both games. This is going to be the first game, and Python is opening up with one den. I don't see a worker being moved just yet, so it looks like it's just going to be a one den. Whereas mderg going for a 1 Rax. All right, we'll see how this goes. Is Python going to be doing the destroy call build, as is generally accepted, or that's generally what people do these days when you're going for that one den. I don't think anyone really does that just standard one den without that second house into a base, because you only get 4 wolves in that case, or maybe 5. Depending on how many workers you stay at. And that often is not enough with the people these days to deal with raiders. Yeah, it's just not enough, because I feel like the raider control of most people have just, skyrocketed. So one thing that's really interesting to me is that Python chooses to put his house here as the second house. I guess this does, block a little bit of that surface area for the workers, but you could place it like here, where it's a little bit more of a surround. This is going to be interesting. Both, ooh, was this prepared? Oh no, that's just a scout. Okay, I was just thinking that maybe this wolf and this worker would see each other in the middle of the map. Python not going across the map is going to wait in the middle of the map. I'm not sure why that is. He's going to send it across now. Looks like that was just a mistake. Looks like mderg is going to try to take a natural base with this worker. This wolf and this raider kiss each other in the middle of the map, and that means mderg gets get a free shot. Makes that a second free shot. This is actually looking very good. He can flash on top of that to get the third, and then flash on top of it again to get the fourth shot, which means that is a dead wolf. Flash, there we go. Very nice. Good start out of mderg here. This wolf is going to come in and do a little bit of harassment, but he needs to leave because he should know that second raider is going to pop right now, and that means that this wolf might barely survive. Okay, it barely is going to survive, and that was potentially dangerous. Will he regenerate in time to get a flash? I don't think so. So yeah, not the best start out of Python here, losing a wolf for free. Almost losing the second wolf as well. He's got to be careful about that. I think he needs to pull some workers to defend his natural here, just to be extra safe. We have a fortress immediately out of mderg. Very interesting. Gonna try to do that build once again. It did lose his wolf. I didn't quite catch what happened, but it looks like he didn't use a flash, so it looks like it was just a control mistake out of Python. So that is not ideal. These two raiders going to try to come in and do a little bit of damage. Python going to try to try to chase them away, but he needs to be very careful. One thing to note is that this wolf's den is at the front of the base, which means that he's not going to be able to defend that very well with the workers if it was like way back here. So it could be delayed potentially. I feel like mderg had a little bit more of an opportunity. He could have played a little bit more aggressive here, I think, knowing that he has double flash and tried to get a bit more damage in, but was a little bit passive, which I guess it's okay. Is going to be forced to flash that one away, though. And Python somehow, out of a poor opening is going to stay alive. Very nice. But will he be able to stay alive against those dragons is the question. He's going to be forced to, pull back. He doesn't have quite enough wolves to deal with 3 raiders here. Good flash forward out of mderg. I think he could do the same with this raider, but the opportunity has passed right now. I feel like some of these raiders players, they're playing a little bit too safe with the flashes. Like, there are opportunities where you can use them to go for that attack and actually confirm a kill on the worker. Good worker pull out of Python, but those are going to just squirm their way out. Very, very greasy, perhaps covered in oil or something. You also got to be careful with this, where if the spawning wolves, if they're not held position like the rest of your wolves, it's going to be really hard. Good trap over here. Going to get one. Going to get, almost, I think you could have probably got that, especially if you attacked with your wolves at the same time. But we do have that Dragon's Lair coming up out of mderg. It's about 40% done right now. But Python has no idea, so he doesn't need to scout that at least there is no third base, and that's when the alarm bells will pop, start to go off. We do have a bird on the way, but this is going to be a little bit too late. I think it's better than having no scout, but I feel like this scout could have been a little bit earlier here. These wolves going to go across the map. You definitely want to check the third base, as Python is doing right now. And once you see that there is no third base, you got to be really careful. You got to be thinking, what is this guy up to? No third base. Okay, so now this is when you got to try to do some sort of scout. This bird has completed, but is not being sent across the map, so that is definitely a mistake. Does need to send it. Yep, there we go. And Python needs to be aware of what's going on. Does see the number of units, and with the number of units, you know that it's not quite like some sort of 2-rack sort of play, unless he's hiding units. He's going to try to pounce on these archers. Unfortunately, not able to do so. He's going to add another Dragon's Lair. So there's going to be 2 Dragon's Lair off of just that 2 bases. And the first dragon is about to pop. No, actually, that's not right. I missaw that. My apologies. That's about halfway done here. And Python looks like it's going to try to take a third base, but this is pretty risky given that this third base, he hasn't seen a third base from his opponent after that pretty good start out of mderg. So this bird is going to come in and try to do that scouting. That's a very important scouting. Is going to see the Dragon's Lair. There we go. Just as the first dragon pops, so he is now aware of what's going on. He's going to try to take down these raiders, but they do have a cliff that they can just flash down. Okay, there we go. And this bird has seen it. So what is the response? We have a tower here, maybe another tower. You can probably cancel this wolves, then put down more towers and go for an advanced workshop. You need that advanced workshop against dragons, especially now that you've seen that there are 2 Dragon's Lairs. There we go. Yeah. Good hold position at mderg here. Where's that advanced workshop? Why do we not have an advanced workshop out of Python? What is going on? What is this worker doing? Hello? I'm confused. Why are you... What? We need an advanced workshop. We need towers. This is just a mistake. Okay, he's gonna... Okay, I see. Interesting. So he's saying, okay, I don't want my advanced workshop to be completely denied by these dragons or anything like that. I'm gonna proxy it so that it's harder to see. So I guess that is a strategy. I don't think it's the best strategy, but it is a strategy, I guess. There's some understanding. There's some reasoning to it. So obviously that's something that I disagree with, but it's something that, makes sense in a way. But these dragons do have free reign. Didn't actually check the main, because I guess he assumed, oh yeah, you must already have a tower there. There's no point in checking, but in fact there wasn't. Instead, it's going to have to settle to take down this one worker on the third base. And we have a bit of a skirmish with that wolf against that Rax army here. I think the Rax army will be able to push these wolves away, especially with this dragon on the way as well. Going to add in a little bit of that DPS, and that does mean that these wolves are going to be pretty much dead weight for the next little while. This advanced workshop not even completed just yet, so Yeah, this is still looking pretty poor for Python, I'd say. These dragons, he did not continue to build these dragons, which is very interesting. I feel like if what you want to do is you want to, I guess, continue to build them, especially if you see that you don't have additional like ballista on the way. I guess, you would assume that there are ballista. Good fight over here for these wolves. Going to take down all of those Rax units, but they're eventually going to be taken down out of these dragons. These dragons chasing down these wolves is obviously something that you could do, but I would definitely prefer if they had tried to take down some more workers instead. I mean, this is damage, and damage is good, but I think these dragons could have done a little bit more. I think this is some good target fire, though, out of mderg, targeting down the weakened wolves rather than just any older wolf. Very nice. Good splash over here onto the workers of Python. Python needs to stop position, hold position here. And there's that first ballista. It's going to come out a little bit late, which is obviously not ideal. And these dragons are going to rotate and find a worker at the third base as well. Yeah, I think mderg is really regretting not continuing to build these dragons as he would have liked to. I feel like he could have had a lot more potential if he had done so. This ballista is a little bit not doing anything. It's caught idle on the job, which is not good. And I really don't understand this idea of Python going for that third and fourth den after seeing that scout. Like, he scouted the dragon's lairs and just didn't go. Like, why would you go for all these? Well, I guess he's thinking I can do a counterattack and just kill him with the wolves, but I don't know. It just feels really weird to me. And also, Python's playing very passive with these ballista, actually not using them at all to defend against these dragons. So this is some interesting play. I don't really understand it. 2 more wolves dens coming down for Python. He needs to transfer his workers over to the third base eventually, but that's not happening anytime soon because there's no anti-air, especially without these ballista. Is now going to bring the ballista in? I don't know. This is really weird. Wolves trying to do a little bit of counterattack. Good SimCity out of mderg, placing down that house just in time so that they don't get quite into the main base. Dragons forced to defend is obviously not ideal, but at the same time, this is just shutting down any sort of plan that Python would have had. So all these wolves going down is not good. There's that airship finally being completed. Yeah, this is just really mystifying in my opinion. I'm not quite sure why he waited so long for these ballistas to actually put them into the fight. There's no worker with this as well, which is actually potentially huge. I think mderg might have been able to actually snipe that airship if he actually committed. Is going to choose to play a little bit more passive, a little bit more defensive, which I don't hate either. We have that mage transition that works so well for him versus Slammer coming in, which is very nice. These dragons are now going to rotate into the main base of Python, try to do a little bit of damage there. Does need to repair this. There we go. Those 2 workers being pulled for repair. Actually, no, just being pulled to reside in the airship. You definitely want to repair those that airship though. But yeah, I think with the mage tech coming up very, very soon, I feel like mderg is in an excellent position. I feel like he could have done a little bit more for sure with the dragons, but he's still in a pretty good position. And what are all these wolves gonna do? Can they do the damage that he wants? Maybe. We're gonna have to see, but we're gonna have to see Python bring his anti-air with him if he decides to go for this attack, or otherwise the dragons will probably completely decimate. I guess it's a bit of a gamble too, because you do need to be where the dragons are with this, and if you, in this case, the dragons are going to look to do a little bit more damage, so that's definitely something. This airship being caught, not ideal. This fight doesn't look like it's the best for the beast player. I feel like there's too many soldiers here. If you want to be fighting this, you want to try to, circumvent the soldiers, get at the archers, as he's doing right now, but that was a little bit too little too late, I feel like. Could have done that earlier on. And these dragons going to come in to clean up the rest of these wolves. And Python in not the best situation. I feel like he's falling slowly more and more behind. He doesn't have the upgrades. He doesn't have some sort of tech advantage either. He doesn't have just a good position in this game. I guess the only thing that he could potentially look to do is shut down all the dragons with the ballista, get a big surround, and hopefully win the game from there. But this is, I guess, an opportunity. If mderg is pushing out, and he's pushing out pre-mages, so I feel like if he had waited for the mages and gone hit this timing maybe 2 minutes later, it would have been okay. But right now he's fighting without his mages, and that's a lot of investment that's not being a part of this fight, which means that Python might be able to take a really good fight before those mages arrive. They're going to be rallied across right now, but that might be a little bit too late. Going to lose that airship. Oh no, he loaded his units into the airship rather than trying to repair it. That is definitely a mistake that you do not want to make. These ballistas still going to be able to ward off those units, those dragons, and the astounding number of wolves is going to be able to clean up that Rax army, though. So all in all, Python holds pretty well. He could have done a little bit better keeping his airship alive, and perhaps using his ballista a little bit better, but it's still a hold. A hold is a hold. And we have Python looking to take down this base of mderg. He did ski it with a scouting wolf, which is very nice. Obviously good to see, but we do have that tech advantage for mderg. Gonna kick in very soon, or even just now, right? Because of all these mages with the slow field, with the fireball, absolutely can be huge if he's able to get them off. Does take down that worker, does take down a soldier for free, and is gonna leave. So that's not a bad trade for Python here. Gonna try to get some fireballs onto these retreating wolves. Does get one of them. These wolves being burnt to a crisp. I like that he's trying to do a little bit of a counterattack, but there are 2 towers and an excellent fall, so that's not going to do it too much here. Even aware of it. Oh, good. Okay, unfortunately. Okay, and that is the end of the game. Yeah, so Python, unfortunately, his computer crashed, and that means that we're going to have to do a regame. I would say it was definitely mderg favored here, but it's not over for sure by any means, so... unfortunate that the game ended like that, but that does mean we get a little bit of a replacement match instead of that losers match that we didn't have. We're gonna see the final match part 2, so we still get 5 games, which is very nice, and we're gonna hop into the rematch on Ravaged once again. It is gonna be mderg in the top left hand side, and spawning in the bottom right hand side, it's going to be Python. So mind games really come into play when this sort of thing happens, right? When you get the opportunity to do a regame, you know what your opponent has done, and you know what he is likely to do. So do you change up your playstyle? Do you try to do something else? That is obviously something that you do need to be aware of. Yeah. So does Python decide to go for that same 1-10 expand destroy call build after how it went in the early game last game? Does mderg go for that 2 base dragon build now that Python knows that's what's likely to come? I don't know. That's that sort of thing that you're going to have to find out together. We do have just houses, and we'll see what's going to happen. Both of these houses at a standard timing, more or less. Python going for a den. mderg going for a Rax. So far, basically the same. And we'll see how it goes from here. I guess part of it is that there's a bit of like respect, quote unquote, where, you could be talking to your opponent and say, hey, this is what happened last game. Let's just try to do the same thing. Try to get into that same position. Maybe not. But this is obviously not that. We have a second Rax out of mderg. And I think this is actually a very good strat, because you saw that your opponent went for a 1-den destroy called build expand, which means that that's probably weak to a whole bunch of raiders, and mderg looking to exploit that. And I think that's a great idea. We'll see if that's going to be able to work out against Python here. Gonna put down his house over here again, I guess. So, yep, okay. So once again, we've seen this. We've seen this exact same situation between Consciously Eating and Holy on Silent Fjord in Group B. I want to say, yeah, Group B. And in that game, despite despite the build order win, quote unquote, Consciously Eating didn't have the best Raider micro, and Holy was able to hold with a 1 den into a delayed second den. And he went for a 2 den versus a 2 racks essentially, and was able to hold and take the game into later stages from there. Eventually, he did lose the game, but still, that's just something I do want to say. We'll see what Python's reaction is to scouting this 2 racks. Is he gonna make his way into the main base to see it? Looks like he is, and that's gonna be a big scout if he sees this. Ooh, I like that mderg is trying to keep this hidden. This is also a very small detail that I like. mderg did keep his racks over here, which means that it's like hidden. If you had put it like somewhere here, it's more likely to get scouted. But it looks like it will be scouted just now, and now Python has all the information in the world. What is he gonna do? Is he gonna put down a tower, perhaps? I think that would be my choice, especially because you do have that much money. You probably want to be looking to take a base eventually. This Raider chasing a wolf, this Raider chasing a wolf, this Raider was also chasing a wolf. And this is looking pretty good for mderg here with a quote-unquote build order win. Let's see what Python does. Gonna be forced to pull some workers. I don't like this placement at all. This watchtower placement, yes, it does cover the mineral line, but it also leaves so much room on the top hand sides for Raiders just to flash in more or less for free. Gonna try a good pullback out of Python here. Does save that wolf, but not for long. Did lose a different wolf in exchange. So far, actually, some pretty good micro. Gonna try to keep all of those wolves alive. Needs to attack with those workers. Does get a bit of a surround here. Does need to flash. Took a lot of damage there, did mderg here. Does get another wolf in exchange. I see mderg is trying to take down this tower before it actually finishes, but I don't think that was the best decision here. I think you let that go because it's not covering too much and you can like flash into the main base, and this is actually surprisingly a good hold. A little bit of poor decision making in my opinion out of mderg, and the units lost is 3 raiders versus 4 wolves and 3 workers, and I think that's a good hold. You have the natural base coming up. You have a tower that can secure your natural. I guess it doesn't secure your main, which is very unfortunate. But yeah, this is so far, depending based on the current situation of the build, I think this is a pretty good hold. But they're going to be forced to take a base after that. There we go. Which is going to be delayed, but not the end of the world. Yeah, so we've kind of stabilized, which is very nice. I think Python is definitely in a playable position. Not ideal, but, it's okay. And once again, I do want to criticize this watchtower placement. Could have been placed a little bit better. Definitely a mistake. This wolf is able to sneak in past the soldier on guard and is able to see anything, but there's nothing really to scout at the moment. Just seeing this natural would have been enough, but is gonna be a thorn in the side of mderg here, perhaps. These 2 raiders are just sharking around, trying to see if they can do anything. I would like to see them just flash in and get a scout, flash in and try to snipe a worker or something like that. I do like that mderg actually didn't continue to build raiders and just went for just transitioning out, which is very nice. Gonna go for a wolves den. Interesting. Perhaps he's going to try that werewolf build that he pulled out against avocadolord. Python trying to chase these raiders off of his lawn. He's going to force them to pull back a little bit. And we have, we have a bit of a game on our hands here. Wolves trying to chase down those raiders a little bit more. Does need to flash that away, perhaps. Yep, there we go. And we'll see how this evolves from here. So it's going to be a very similar situation to that avocadolord versus mderg situation. In that game, avocadolord did open racks instead. So that is a small difference, but it is going to be that same or similar situation where we have fortress, so dragons, versus werewolves, and we'll see if mderg is able to get a better situation than last time. Losing a wolf here, a little bit sloppy for Python, but that's okay. Might be able to get a worker in exchange, but doesn't look like it. does need to be careful of those workers here and try not to get surrounded. We do have that werewolf's den as expected, and I assume this worker is going to build a advanced workshop. Yep, there we go. These wolves nibbling on the wall. I don't expect them to actually be able to break them down as the raiders and the Raxtians are here. Python tries to jump on this army, but good flash away. Might lose a raider. No, okay. Good flash away out of mderg there. A little bit late, but still saves the raider. We have just a single dragon's lair so far. Looks like Python is not quite committing yet to the additional dragon's lair. We'll see if he's going to look to take a third base perhaps, or I don't know. It does get a soldier. That is very nice. Going to try to target down that weakened raider. Unfortunately, not able to do so. And the wolf assault continues. That's a good surround. You're going to be able to barely not get a raider. That's a little bit unfortunate. I think he definitely could have chased that. He's going to get it either way, so not a big issue. It does take down a worker as well. These raiders don't have flash, or at least one of them doesn't. Maybe he could have continued to fight in there, but it's really risky to go into a place where workers are already about to, hold position against you. But while all of this is going on, the scouting has not happened. So the werewolf tech has not been scouted just yet. At the same time, the dragon's tech has not been scouted either. Python adding in another wolf's den, which is very nice, but not nice in this situation because wolves are pretty poor against that werewolf with that 4 armor. So we have a bird coming on the way for Python. I do like that. He does want to see. He is smelling. Oh, you're staying on 2 base a little bit too long. Something is happening. Something is sus. And I do like that. We have that first dragon on the way for Python. And it looks like this aggression has stopped more or less. mderg was able to keep 2 of those raiders alive, and they're just poking out to see if there's anyone at the front door. Knocking on ringing the doorbell, knocking on the doorbell, or knocking on the door. We have this airship going to try to make its way across the map without being scouted, and it looks like it's going to be able to be successfully going across the map. Maybe this bird might catch a glimpse, but no, it looks like the paths will not intertwine. We have a snake charmer on the way. And I think this bird is going to get confirmation, but it's going to get a confirmation a little bit too late. Python only made 1 dragon. Where's the other dragon? He just didn't start another dragon. Instead, going to go for a 3rd base. Does lose a wolf over here, but the big story is going to be this werewolf. How much damage can it do? Python's going to try to come into the natural base to do a little bit of poking and prodding. mderg sees this 3rd base, but I don't think you go for that. You go for the more juicier target here. No, instead, you're going to try to take down this worker. Python reacting immediately. What is his response going to be? Starts up a dragon. This dragon is coming in. This bird did see it, but it was a little bit too late, I feel. mderg able to snipe that worker, canceling the 3rd here. So this dragon wasn't doing anything. It was targeting down the wrong thing. It was shooting at the werewolf's den when it really didn't need to. He's supply blocked as well. Okay, that is a big issue. This 2nd dragon that he was about to get has not been started. Didn't even go for a tower in this main base either. So that means that this smash is going to be absolutely huge. There we go. Big smash might even target down the dragons there. I don't mind that choice either. At the same time, the wolf's going to come in, try to do a little bit of damage, but it's just going to have to hightail it out of there. This dragon has come all the way back and is going to try to target down this airship, but this big supply block is going to be absolutely huge. Python putting down a dragon's lair on this side over here as well. This is kind of reminiscent of that advanced workshop that I put down there the other time. These wolves looks like they're not going to be able to do too much of anything, especially with that big daddy werewolf in the back. Python is going to target down this werewolf, and that's not what you want to be doing. You want to be targeting down the airship because that represents the mobility of this unit. And targeting down the werewolf is not the choice here. You want to target down the airship. At the same time, mderg has not quite taken his 3rd base. Is going to do it right now. Going to create some towers in his bases as well to make sure he doesn't die to those dragons. So, I think this is a very good position for mderg. 3rd base on the way, has a ballista, has some towers basically up and running, and Yeah, this is not looking very good for Python. Big smash over here, gonna take down 2 more workers, and another one with that just regular attack. Gonna walk into this mineral line and try to do a little bit of damage. Is this castle misplaced? Am I seeing this wrong? I feel like this castle is misplaced by 1, but I might be mistaken. He can also attack with these workers, especially if there's no smash. He's just going to try to evacuate them away. We have a big attack over here, but looks like the werewolf is going to absolutely anchor this position. This is a bit of a mistake out of Python, not being aware of those wolves at the top. They were stuck, body blocked by the archers, and the werewolf is going to lose that chunk of army just for free, which is not ideal. Yeah, this is once again shows you I guess a little bit of that inexperience in defending this sort of wacky, weird attacks. You know, the unit count, he's just lost too many workers. So far, he has lost 12 workers, which is 12 too many, honestly, for this sort of game. He's going to catch these raiders, but not actually finish them off. Yep, okay, actually does get us around on one of them. And the other, actually. So he is actually going to be able to finish them off, but this is a very scary army, especially with the ballista to take care of those dragons. Python does have a dragon's lair in this side of the map where it's a little bit hidden, but I think he's kind of forgotten about it. It's not producing out of it. Is instead rebuilding his dragon's lair in the main base. So I think he did forget about them, unless they're actually hotkeyed together. They are hotkeyed together. Okay, why is he building a? Okay, I'm a little bit confused. But that's okay. We're just gonna have to continue and be confused together. There's a tower over here. As long as this airship or ballista gonna be ferried in to deal with these dragons, gonna chase them away. Very nice out of mderg. Solid play. Is gonna cancel that dragon's lair. Gonna go for a workshop instead. Okay, I don't mind that decision. Does he know about the space? He doesn't. Why does Python not know about this? I feel like he had an opportunity to scout it. Absolutely. He's going to try to scatter right now, but does see this army and is forced to bring the wolf back. And he really doesn't have anything to deal with these werewolves. And there's 2 of them now. That's a lot. And that's a lot for these wolves to deal with. I guess he needs to buy time until this workshop completes, but that's going to be a tall task over here. We have this huge army, very scary army out of mderg coming in. Looks like trying to deal the finishing blow in this match. mderg also going for some upgrades. Going to go for Analyst and a Forge, so trying to double dip into this hybrid sort of style. mderg does drop these ballista. Ooh, good last explosive shot at the last second. Going to take down that dragon, and that means there's only 1 dragon to deal with this. And there's not much other than these wolves. Yeah, just wolves are not that good against werewolves at all. Python deciding, I can't deal with this. I need to go for a counterattack. I think that's a great idea. But never mind, he's saying, I actually do need to deal with this. He's going to come back. Yeah, this is going to be a very tough hold, especially with only, what, is going to be a single catapult to deal with all of these 3 werewolves. This is going to be really tough. So you need to try to bait out the smashes. And then, okay, there's 1 of them gone. There's still 2 remaining. And also the timer of these smashes is actually really quick. I believe it's 10 or 12 seconds, which is a very small time. We have some, the first catapult popping, trying to add into that DPS to try to take down these units. This is a big surround, going to try to pounce on these archers, but that's a huge smash, getting absolutely every single wolf. That was a huge smash. Going to do, that's what, 40 times... I don't know, that's like 200 damage. No, way more than that. Good surround on the archers. Another big smash though. And yet another one not quite. Oh, it did go off over here onto the worker line. But this is, okay, that first smash did reset. And I think this might just barely be enough to hold. These wolves are attacking the ballista, which is kind of waste damage at the moment. You need to be targeting down the archers, I feel. This werewolf does eventually get taken down. These wolves are also very, very low. Gonna try to target it down. Good hot pickup out of mderg. And the wolves of Python have been basically more or less decimated completely. Has 0 wolves on the field at the moment. And this is looking like it's going to be the end of the game. Python is still on 2 bases, whereas his opponent is on 3. The werewolves, at least 2 of them, have survived along with these ballista, and I guess they're not useless right now, but upgrades are on the way as well. Main is mined out, and main is still not mined out here for Python, but yeah, this is looking like mderg victory. Looks like Python is trying to take a 3rd base at the same time because he's running out of, he can't just stay on 2 bases for forever. Does take down a soldier for free. You'll have to be careful about friendly fire there. It does take down a wolf of his own. Gonna try to target down that archer. Might have been able to get it, but those scary werewolves, man. Good shot onto that werewolf. Does take it down. Good smash though. At the same time, but they're going to try to take a 4th base. This wolf going to come in, try to scout, and might get confirmation of that bad news that this base is up, is going to see it now. Or he did see it before somehow. I must have missed that. My apologies. Python going to take a hidden 3rd base, which I think is, more or less a good idea. Going to put down another wolf's den. I don't think this is a good idea because of these werewolves, though. But they're not choosing to build any more of them, though. I feel like that's a bit of a missed opportunity. We have a drop into the main base. Werewolf, as long as some Rax units, going to try to decimate this worker line, and I think it has a very good chance to do so. At the same time, Python trying to go across for a counterattack, but it is move commanding. That is very big. Going to lose a whole bunch of HP on those wolves, and the catapults are out of line of sight here as well. I think they're going to be pounced on, and that might be just it. GG is called. Python is going to tap out, and that means mderg, with some excellent gameplay, is going to be your 2nd player into Alpha League from Group D. Yeah, definitely a bit of an upset, taking an excellent game off of Slammer, knocking him down to the losers match, and then winning against Python in the final match. So very well played. Hats off to you, mderg. And this is what Alpha League is going to look like. It's going to be Weird Rat versus mderg. That is going to be a tough matchup. mderg has played extremely well, but Weird Rat might be on a whole nother level. We have Hydra versus Mr. Winter, excuse me. That's going to be really exciting. We have some excellent macro play, I assume, out of both players. We'll have to see. And then we have Consciously Eating versus Matthew N. And avocadolord versus B-Sherm. So exciting matchups all the way in Alpha League. Once again, these are all going to be best of 3s. This format will be very similar. It's going to be just pick ban. Oh, no, not pick ban, excuse me. Ban, but like A-B ban style. It's not pick ban, guys. Sorry, I misspoke there. It's going to be A-B. So you ban 2 maps each, and then it's going to be 3 maps remaining, and you'll choose the 3 of them one by one. So that's going to be the format, and it'll be the same in the Beta League. And this is what the Beta League is looking like. We have Nigat versus Slammer 4. It's going to be an interesting matchup. Perhaps Nigat might have a good chance looking at Slammer's gameplay against mderg. We have Steven Eater versus Holy. That's going to be really exciting. Josh's versus Alberto. And Python versus Diantep. So yeah, thank you for joining me. Here's a quick look at the timeline once again. So the quarterfinals will be held in this week. So hopefully get all your matches done and scheduled and played by the end of this week. Yeah, it's going to be a best of 3. It's going to be the same thing, but I hope you're excited for the quarterfinals of both the Alpha League and the Beta League coming up in the Global Littlewargame League 2024. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.